It looks like sale prices in Portland Metro real estate are starting to take a pummeling as we near the end of 2024. Let's take a look at the very latest stats and trends. Welcome and thank you for joining me today. As always, I would love it if you would give this video a like, or better yet, subscribe to this channel to make sure that you see more content like this in your feed. With that business out of the way, let's get into the very latest stats and trends. Let's start with the average sale price. When we compare this most recent week to the same time period last year, the average sale prices almost flipped completely from the previous week. The previous week, we're looking at a gain in the average sale price of about 5.1%. This most recent week, we've got a loss of 4.1%. That's a really big swing, which, as I've mentioned in the past, we can see when we're dealing with relatively small samples of numbers. So it is probably a good idea to see where we land at the end of the month before we draw any big conclusions. Just for context, we did in November with about a 3.3% gain in the average sale price when compared to November of 2023. So far in December, it's looking like we're going to fall short of that mark. The supply of homes for buyers to choose from keeps moving down. That's no surprise for this time of year. However, compared to last year at this time, buyers still have about 18% more homes to choose from. That difference had been decreasing, but it looks like we might have stalled out with the holiday doldrums. The resilient buyer demand that we've been seeing over the last couple of months did soften this past week. The number of new purchase contracts agreed to by buyers and sellers was only about 2% higher than last year at this time. That's coming off of about 8 to 9 weeks with year-over-year gains of at least 16%. With Christmas and New Year's coming, we may need to get a couple of weeks into January before we can determine if this is a new trend or just a blip on the screen. Our best measure of high-intent buyers out looking at homes with their agents, that's the number of lockbox opens that we see week after week. That number was up about 8.5% compared to last year at this time. Like last week, foreclosures are still on my radar. The number of bank-owned properties on the market is up for the second week in a row, not by a huge amount, but we did go from 47 foreclosures on the active market about 2 weeks ago to 57 this week. That's a big gain in a number that we usually don't see move more than 1 or 2 homes up or down per week. It's not a huge deal yet. Last year at this time, that number was 58, and we're currently talking about 57 bank-owned properties out of more than 8,000 active and pending homes currently on the active market. So not a huge percentage. So if that number continues to rise, or if I start to see a lot of notices of foreclosure sale or notices of default being recorded with the county, I will definitely let you know about that. Mortgage rates yo-yoed their way back up to the highs that we were seeing about 2 weeks ago. On Thursday morning, the best rate that I saw advertised for the 30-year fixed was 6.75%. That's a half a point higher than what we saw just 1 week ago. This came on the heels of the Fed dropping their Fed funds rate by 1/4 point on Wednesday, but also forecasting only 2 rate cuts in 2025, down from the 4 rate cuts that they had previously been forecasting. Along with some stubborn inflation, a couple of reasons for this pullback are continued lower than expected jobless claims and a GDP that continues to outperform expectations, indicating that maybe the economy doesn't really have immediate need of help from lower interest rates. What are we looking forward to? Well, we'll probably see a couple of sleepy weeks of real estate activity, with Christmas next week and New Year's the week after. On Friday, the Fed's favorite inflation report will come out, and that could move markets one direction or the other if there's a surprise hidden in that report. As always, if that report comes out before I post this video on Friday, I will put an update right over there. If not, I'll just catch you up next Friday. In the meantime, have a great weekend and a wonderful Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you, as always, right here next Friday.